Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We tend to be a small group, and we're always like, let's grow this. But as any other kind of a meetup community type of a thing, people come and go, and so we'd love to get a stronger following. So please continue to come check us out. So again, my name is Rachel Gomez, and I'm a business advisor with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. We are primarily funded by the SBA, so I say this is your tax dollars at work. And so we do one-on-one confidential consulting for startup companies, or people that come and say, hey Rachel, I have an idea, is this something feasible? Can we do some market research around it? Can you help me build a business plan and see if it's fundable, right? So from that to, okay, I have an established business, now I need a marketing strategy, competition's getting really tough. We do digital assessments, kind of see what your presence is out there in the digital world, and then we help with some of those strategies. And yeah, even if you're hiring employees, my background is actually as an HR consultant. I have my own staffing firm, and so I cover a lot on hiring, retaining employees, benefits, and all the HR compliance piece. But I'm also a startup tech founder. So I know I do a lot of different things, as most serial entrepreneurs, right? So at the heart of it all, I'm a creative. I'm a writer, director, musician. I stage direct, and and so I created a technology platform that's basically LinkedIn for the creatives. And so that's been relaunched about 2 years ago. Still small, but we are going through a full website redesign right now. So I understand the journey from these early stages, and so I love the creative side of our tech industry. So anyway, so that's what we do. So we are your first call to start or grow a business. We promote economic development across the state by providing confidential business advising and training. And again, we do this in partnership with UNLV's Office of Economic Development. We are a national organization, and so we have centers throughout every state, and it's usually tied to a university. So really curious, before I introduce our special guest speaker, what do you guys feel is the hottest topic in tech right now? I know we've got some going on next door, but what are some of the things that you feel like we got to get the pulse of this, we got to stay on top of this? What are you guys thinking?
AI by far.
AI.
The cybersecurity sector.
Yeah.
You got to secure that AI.
I mean, a lot of the conversations I'm hearing about is obviously AI and nuclear power.
Yeah.
I like automation.
Automation, yeah. It's another good one. So I'm going to skip through some of this so that I definitely have time for Thomas here. But how does the Nevada SBDC help you prepare? Hi there. One-on-one advising. We do educational workshops. We were just talking about a tech innovation workshop, 6 to 8 week workshop series in conjunction with UNLV. We'll be bringing in experts and professionals in the industry, as well as utilizing our resources with UNLV through students and faculty to come in and help mentor our small businesses, and then subject matter experts. So these are some of the specific topics that we go through: legal, licensing, business structures, especially for tech founders, right? I'm an LLC, do I need to be a C Corp? What is an S Corp? How does that differ? So we go through all of that with you. Accounting, we'll go through your financial statements, financial reviews, and projections. And then these are the current workshops that we have in place right now through UNLV. Construct Ed, which is for the construction industry, Educational Food Lab, a home healthcare series, AI Essentials, and then the Tech Innovation and Creative Studio series, which will be coming up soon. Hi there. And then with that, I can answer any questions later on at the end of the session regarding SBDC, how to become a client. Again, it's all provided at no cost to you. And right now I'd like to bring up Thomas Slaughter, our guest speaker, who is with Strategic Intent Consulting Group.
So what was that? A couple weeks ago, I actually met Rachel over at an office over here, the office, and we were particularly discussing a lot about the tech space and just business in general. And just to give you a little bit of background on myself, I'll just walk a little bit about my journey. So, I was a corporate guy way back when I was 20, in my early 20s. I got my undergrad in business. I worked my way up to around $60 million book of business for a corporation. I was about 27 years old. And, part of it was just my innovative way of thinking and me always thinking outside the box. Don't take a lot. And part of that, I ended up taking over the IT department as well as overseeing the whole division, which was basically all of the Empire, San Marino, Riverside County, and into Nevada as well. And, when I was sitting there, going through that transition, I was like, I felt like I hit the ceiling. What's next? And at that point, I got headhunted by a class startup company, a small organization. And as a result of headhunting, I ended up transitioning over to them and worked with them and worked with investors and everything else to take them from red to black, meaning that they were losing a ton of money. And that's what my specialty was. I was able to flip, had to basically take company from, red to black, positive profit, cash flow, and all that other stuff. Then after a while, I'm sitting there saying, well, what's next? So I don't know if many of you are like me. I'm just the kind of person who wants to continue transition. Well, I got headhunted by Fortune, almost that 1,000 company, and an $8 billion company, and they headhunted me to teach their sales consultants on how to sell IT. And on top of that, I help design structures for large enterprises, meaning hospitals, government facilities, and agencies, and even down to small businesses. And while I was in that particular process, I hit kind of a crossroad. I'll come to this moment. I was put in a position where I had a decision to close a $200,000 deal, which at the end of the day, it was for a nonprofit. And if anybody knows about nonprofit, the deal was actually Microsoft 365 licensing. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you use Office 365 or some variants of it. And for nonprofits, you get the software for free. And as a result of that, this nonprofit actually had to pay for it, $300,000 a year for licensing. And I'm telling them, well, why would you do that? And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, you're a 501c3, you get it basically for free. So long story short, I'll never forget the IT director's there, who was the one who signed off on this. And I swear he was getting kicked back because I don't know how he missed it. But the reality of the situation, he sweating bullets. And the president's sitting there, and he said, are you telling me we get, instead of paying $200,000, we don't have to pay much? I said, yeah, I think it's like $10,000 or something like that, licensing. Got donation fees. And he said, wait a minute, stay here. He got up, he went in another room, I'll never forget it. And he comes back, and he says, tell my boss. This is the president who says, tell my boss. I didn't know there was somebody higher than him. He sits at the desk, and now I remember just looking, and it's like, I'm staring right there at the IT director, and it's feeling like, we're going to get ready to have a draw. And he's sweating bullets, because he knows I'm about to blow his whole job up. And I'm sitting there, and I get on my laptop, I show him real quick, go to TechSoup. TechSoup is what's been donation for, for nonprofit. I put my laptop, showed it to them, and you just saw, I never seen a man change 3 colors in one time. He went from red, blue, to green, back up, and I was like, oh, he must have always been sick now. So he looked at me, I'll never get the CEO and said, have you ever considered starting your own business? Not really. But he said, if you ever start your own business, come back and see us. Now they have 600 employees, this organization. And now I'm sitting there, and of course, I blew up the deal because we were there selling Microsoft 365 licensing. But I couldn't ethically do it. And we'll talk a little bit about ethics when you build a business. So I'm sitting there, and I remember getting back to my office over in Orange County, so over by Disneyland in California. So I go to the office. Our office was in one of the tall buildings right in the Angel Stadium parking lot. So we're sitting there, and I get there. I remember my boss telling me, "You don't like money?" And I looked at him and said, "At what cost?"
Yeah.
And at that point, I remember calling her and said, I'm out of there. And my wife, you're leaving, $107,000 and almost $200,000 job. You're getting ready to leave that to go to zero. And when I asked her, can I quit my job, Mama? She said, I'll never forget the words. She said, about damn time. I'd rather you and I live in a shoebox and you happy than us rich and unhappy.
There you go.
So that was the start of becoming an entrepreneur. Now, what do you do when you first become an entrepreneur? Well, you got to make money to pay for your bills. Yeah. you know. But they don't know, and mind you, I have an undergraduate at that time in business. But in business school, they teach you how to run a people's business. They teach you how to be an employee. They don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur. And that's a big problem in business school. And I'll say that over and over again. So as a result of that, now I'm sitting here, what am I going to do? What do I need to do? Well, first things first is, do I have a business plan? No. I'm just going to go out there, print some bunch of cards, go out there and scour the world. Now the nice thing is, I did have a book of business I was able to kind of walk away with because I was already in the sales role. Because that's what I did, sell support, so all those folks. And everybody I called on, they all basically said, yeah, we'll come with you. And I remember asking them all, why would you want to come with me? I haven't started, I have nothing, I don't know what I'm doing. They said, because of your ethics and moral. So, number one, anything you do, you have to have core values, okay? I don't care what it is. This is how you live by your company. It's core values. They don't teach you this stuff. It's a little small blood in business school, and when you go take management, they show you how to do core values, mission statements, all that bull crap. But the reality is, in your heart, what do you honestly hold true to the value within yourself? Because that's how you start a company. That's how you represent your company, and that's how you tell the company the whole world. Okay? So, I encourage everybody here, if you are a business or if you are starting a business, start with your core values. Because what something means to you may not mean to me. Okay? And vice versa. This becomes your framework, your catalyst. Your first employee that you hire, you should have, and I'm sorry if I went off track, but so the first thing is, the result of that, first employee you hire, it's about the core values. Because how can you work with somebody you don't get along with, or does it, let me ask you something, would you go hire, a known criminal to be in your business? And, that's probably going to be exaggerated, but, or how about someone who's going to ethically stealing cheap from your clients? That violates your values. Now, if you're crooked like Wolf of Wall Street, well, so be it. Okay? But at the end of the day, what they said, the rooster's going to come home. So as a result of that, that's where you start. All right. So that's a little bit about my background. And when I'm going to jump into entrepreneurship, key ingredients for success, this is what I have learned over the decade in running my business and kind of wish, or I kind of, understood this at the inception comparatively to now. So we're going to skip the introduction. Entrepreneurs, introduction. Entrepreneurship requires, I think we have a handout, requires more than a great idea. It demands mindset, resilience, practical skills, overcome challenges. Here are the three ingredients I'm going to give to you. Okay. If you're going to start a business, you better be darn ambitious. Okay? This is where you're going to have to start. And what's ambition? The driving force that keeps you motivated to pursue your vision and push beyond limits. I'm going to tell you, there's days I don't want to get out of bed. There's days I'm depressed. There's days that I remember I was on a project and the project guys all got sick, and I had to go down to Marshall Air Force Base over in California, and I had to crawl my butt in the rafters, and I had to show ambition with my leadership, and I'm pulling hook and cables. I got cuts all on my arm, I got fiberglass all on me, and then I'm sick. And I go sleep in the back of my car. Then I'm mad because I lost my AirPods. I'm looking for them. I find look them up. I go back to the Marshall Air Force Base, and guess what? I dropped them in my car and I backed over to work. So I was ambitious to go get another pair. Okay, so you got to start there because that's going to keep you ticking. Next, decision making is everything. You know how many times I've lost money? She probably tell you all the time. Whatever nice Gucci shoe, whatever they say, purses to buy, whatever they say, you can tell me. But at any point, with that being said, is decision making is the ability to evaluate options, take calculated risk, and move forward with confidence. I'm going to tell you, they can teach us in class, is how to make decisions. So I'm going to tell every one of you, you need to create a system on how you make a decision. Okay? You have to do that. And don't deviate from that system. Okay? So say, for example, I always ask myself, Do I need it? Or do I want it? Can I afford it? And what would happen if I don't have it? That's how I kind of process. And as a result of that, I'm telling you, if you have it goes about the core values. You start with core values. Now you know who you want to hire, who you want around, how your business is going to run. Next, you look at decisions. How you make your decisions. Keep a model. How many of you play chess? Okay, fantastic. So in chess, you always have open and move, right? It's a decision that you make. Then based on how that player counters, you make a decision, but it's a strategy. So think of it, a decision is your strategy. So when you have a business plan in place, you look at your business plan, and based on the decisions that you're making, is it going to be conducive or is it going to be conflicted to that decision, to what you're trying to do? I'm telling you this because you will go down a rabbit hole, you will chase the shiny things, and you'll be broke within days. I'll tell you that right now. I know. I've blown up a lot of money. And my CEO group, I'm part of the CEO group, meets once a month in Temecula, great group, and they act as my board of supervisors, and I'm the one not board supervisor, my board advisory board. It's 12 CEOs with companies that range small as mine up to one, I think close to $80 million in revenue. And they sit down, and all they want to understand is how you are processing the information, how you start making decisions. That's it. And they always ask me, so Thomas, because I'm an entrepreneur like you, I bought a tractor trailer. I'm in Bitcoin and all that stuff, and mining and all that stuff. And they asked me, how's it going to help your core business that feeds you? Well, I don't know. They said, you spend all that energy over there, but if you put that energy in the business that feeds you, don't you think you can go ahead and grow quicker? And now, 3 years later, I sold the truck, and I'm out of Bitcoin and no mining game. And I said, my God, you were right. You can't split your mind in 3 different directions until you have, your business in place. You have the right players in your business to run that business. And I learned it the hard way. She could tell you. We've hired some, and it wasn't fun. Next thing is resilience. I don't care how good you are, and it's so funny. We heard this in Nashville last week, or a couple months ago when we went to training. You think money's going to solve your problems? No, it creates more problems. You think having more bodies there is going to solve your problems? No, now you got HR nightmares. So you think over and over again, oh, if this happens, I'm going to be in a better place. No, greater responsibilities comes with greater wealth. And as you grow your business, you take it up and up and up. Now I'm learning that. Because every time I say, oh, what happened when we get this much revenue? We're going to have this. No, now I got new set of problems. So being resilient, all right, and having the strength to recover from setbacks and keeping going despite challenges, all right? You're going to be challenged every day in business. You are. That's the reality. There's days she can sit there and I've got tears in my eyes because something's going sideways. And some days I'm asking myself, why the hell am I putting myself through this? Then you ask yourself the question, don't my employees understand and see what I'm doing to provide them jobs? And you're asking yourself all these different questions, but the reality is you have to have resilience on anything that goes sideways. I remember we had a project, when COVID hit, the lead didn't want to get the shots, so they walked off the job, and now I'm sitting there stuck. And I will never forget, I had to drive there Saturday. I'm calling all my other consultants. We're over there, and this is to put an installation of 100 security cameras and 85 access points in a medical facility. And I will never forget getting on the phone. The guy is arguing with me. He doesn't want to get shots. Then we get into argument, and then he got to the fact that he wanted to talk about he wants to punch my lights out. And he got to cussing and everything else. And I had to be resilient because now I got a crew just walked off. I got to find another crew. This is going to be double the cost. And plus, I have a deadline I got to meet. Or some contracts, if you don't meet your deadlines, guess what? It starts reducing because you don't hit it. They'll actually start cutting your revenue and how much you're going to pay. And I remember I got there at 8 in the morning at the facility. I'm going over the work the guys did, and they did a sloppy job. And I'm sitting there and I called my wife. I'm down here in the hotel in tears. But I'm telling you this because that is part of being in business. Don't give up, okay? Don't give up. Be resilient. This is a big word, guys, forgiving. Okay? You have to be forgiving, and let's think of it first in context, not just other people. You have to be forgiving for yourself. If you can't forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made, okay, how do you move forward? It's like carrying baggage. That's what that is. I'm just learning that. To be self-forgiving. I'm probably the worst critic of myself, and what that does to me, it makes me down, depressed, or whatever it is. But the reality is, it's okay to screw up. You're going to screw up. It's okay. All right? Your employees are going to screw up more. It's okay. I was once told by a very successful man, said, look, Thomas, nobody's going to be able to do 100% what you can do. Fair enough. Okay? If they can do 70% of what you can do, that's the average person. That's all you need in business, all right? You just have to be a player to understand and guide it the right way. But he says, and you have to give people room to F up. That's exactly what I'm talking. You have to. You have to give yourself room to drop the ball. You do. Because you will not be able to progress and move forward. If you're sitting there, it was a story I guess I heard a long time ago when I was a kid, of Oprah Winfrey stopped to psychoanalyze the error that happened to her a couple weeks ago. She stands to lose more money by looking at the error than going forward. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth of the matter. Sometimes I have to look and weigh out the opportunity cost. If you know what that is, opportunity cost is basically, if I look and do this, what am I losing over here? All right? And with the reality of that, if you're not forgiving, you might sit there and be stepping over $1 to pick up a penny. Always forward thinking. Learn from the mistakes, understand, and what we call it, I always call it my business postpartum. That's what we call it. So that's it. So we sit there, look at it, and we try to understand what's kind of happening in a particular situation. Then we analyze it, we get to the group, and the biggest thing that you can do when there's an error or mistake is find a better mousetrap so it doesn't happen in the future. That's it. And this is life lessons too. You don't screw up. Just find a better mousetrap. It's like if you're driving on the freeway at 100 miles an hour, you wreck. You're going to not drive 100 miles an hour, right? That's the reality. Communication. I can't stress this enough. Communication. You have to have clear, effective communication, inspire your team, attract investors, and connect with customers. That is the strongest thing, I think. I think that's the least, I guess, how you say it, in business schools. I remember I went to Claremont grad over at Claremont Drug School. I remember they did a survey CEOs, and they said, what is the number one issue that business schools are failing to teach their students effective communication? And I agree with that, because most people don't know how to communicate. She can tell you all the time. She says, I'm a poor listener. And now I'm trying to learn to be a better listener. And, communicating, like I said, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen more before you speak. And you have to understand, if you're in business, if you want to start a business, I don't know where you want to take the business. If it's going to be a lifestyle business where it's just going to be you by yourself and you're just paying the checks and just getting some money so you pay your bills, great. But I would hope that everybody who wants to start a business wants to build it to either put a president in place where they can retire or they have an exit. For me, I have an exit. So as a result of that, I know what I need to do to build a company up. And big thing as a leader and as a business owner, I have to become an effective communicator. And that's what I say to every one of you. Sometimes it's not easy for us to communicate. It's not. And we're not born, to know how to communicate. With the exception of babies, they're like, they're very selfish. But I think babies are better communicators, to be honest. I look at my granddaughter, and she has no problem telling me what she wants. Can I ask you guys a question? Do you have a problem asking people telling people what you want?
Yeah.
Most of us do. Some of us don't. Some of us are like, hey, we just got it built in. It's, no, this is what I want. This is where I want it. And my wife always tells me, when I see an employee make a mistake, did I give him clear, precise instructions? And did I tell him or her what I want the outcome to look like? If I didn't, I can't be mad at the F it up. I can't be. So as a result of that, communication is definitely key. Now, this is the biggie, sales. How many of you think you're a salesperson? Okay, yeah, I heard you're selling your program. The reality is you're also. That's the reality. How many went to a job interview? How many of you actually went to a job interview? You sold yourself to get that job. You're a salesperson. It's not a dirty word. It's a positive word. You know? Where salespeople get a bad name is those, you know, those old slick oil salesmen. You know, so you know the whatever, you know, the wonder tonic that make your hair grow. You see it. All right, I got a lot of wonder tonic in my house. So as a result of that, the truth of the matter is, you all are salespeople. Okay, don't discount that. I bet if you get pulled over by a police officer, how many of you try to talk yourself out of a ticket? I've tried to. I was trying to sell the cop. I did not want to have a light. But you know I did. So understand that. You know, master persuasion, value delivery to turn prospects into loyal customers. All you're doing as a salesperson is telling somebody the honest truth of their situation, identify their problem, and how you want the solution. When you go to a job interview, you have your resume. All right. You know what the problem is for that employer. They need a body. They need somebody to employ. All right. You're telling with your resume, I have the solution. Look at me. All right. And if you hire me, what is the outcome going to be? You're going to get a good employee who's going to deliver all those key performance indicators and do a good job for you. There's no difference if you own your own business. When I go see a client, they tell me their problem. And I can, you know, they might not know what the problem is. By probing questions, I can find out what the problem is, and I'll tell them, you know what, great, I have a solution for you. You know, oh, you had a BEC, which is business email compromise. Your 5 account got hacked. I don't say great because it hurt their feelings, but I said, I understand. You know what, I have a solution for you. We have an AI solution who monitors every email box in your company. And it'll tell us if it was compromised, and I can resolve it within 2 minutes. Oh, you're scared of losing data. Great. Not great for them, but great for me in my mind. We have business continuity solutions that if your server goes down, I can have you up in 15 minutes. How does that sound? That's wonderful. Okay, what do you do? Well, I can help you if you sign this paper and pay me some money. And that's the reality. That's sales. I heard this teacher here. He was selling us earlier. What did you tell us about the students? What were you trying to sell us? Go ahead.
I am starting a brand new school called Northeast Career Tech. I'll be doing cybersecurity and computer science there. And I love to connect with all kinds of small businesses. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, if my students can have a way to actually benefit you and they can benefit our school. So even like, I saw a tiny little business that was selling these little crocheted animals. I'm like, my students could benefit from social emotional, like something that they could have small to like, that would make them feel a little bit better during the day. My students buy it, and the money goes to the business if they're willing to give a percentage back to the school. So now we can actually buy equipment like buying a sticker machine, like a printer that can actually print stickers. Then I partnered with another business that gave us free computers, and my students get to tear them down and build them back up, and we'll slap the stickers on the saying, hey. And then what ends up happening is we give those out to local small businesses for free.
Beautiful.
So I'm willing to work with any business to try to find ways to help grow the small businesses here in Nevada, and also give my students an opportunity now. We're given a computer, but they don't know how to serve it.
So, and I like what he had to say. That's actually really beautiful. So, what he did with that, he didn't know. That sounds salesy. He was just telling you, hey, you know what? I have a school here. We're going to help these students. We're going to help these businesses. And guess what? We're going to benefit everybody. That sounds like a win-win to me. So as a result of that, it piques my interest. So that's called soft selling. We can talk about hard selling one day. You don't want to do that. That goes back to Wolf of Wall Street when I think about that. So on a final note is money management, smart handling of finances, sustain operations, reinvest in growth, and weather financial storms. The reality of the situation is, I don't care unless you're Apple, but I don't care if you're Tesla or whomever you are, especially as a startup. Money is a problem. That's the realities. So smart decisions, good money management. I'll give myself a C in money management because I like to throw my money at the sweetest and the brightest things and buy the best technologies to invest to give to my clients. But the reality is I'm maturing here. Every business needs to understand two things, okay? Their cash flow and their P&L, profit and loss. For those who don't know what P&L is, it's just basically if you think about your home budget, you get a check every month and you need a budget where you're going to put that money. That's all P&L is. That's all it is. It's just a budget on how business runs. Just a bunch of fancy lines with a bunch of little numbers next to it. Then another thing is your cash flow. You can end up in a cash flow crunch, especially in a company like ours where we have accounts receivable, where basically we give services and we wait net 30 days for somebody to pay us. Or we do a project, $50,000 project, 50% discount, 50% deposit, then we turn around and now after the project's done, we have to wait for the payment on completion of that project. So you run into a situation called cash flow crunch. Those are scary moments. And they are going to happen to you. I don't care how smart you are. Unless you have rich uncle, Scrooge out there who can go ahead and fund you nonstop. But you have to be smart with your money. And again, it's interesting because I hold 2 degrees. I hold, MBA and also hold an undergrad in business. They didn't teach us shit, excuse the language. They didn't. They taught us how to be employees and how to manage other people's money. I did a great job when I was incorporated. I had a $60 million, book of business. I had 80 employees under me, and it was all lined up. And I all accepted. I could look at the line items and everything else. But the reality is, even that company had cash flow crunch. Guess what they would do? They would call me one day, Thomas, we need to cut your budget by 20%. Give us a report next week. Now I'm walking in the warehouse, shaking the employees' hands. You're such a good employee, knowing that they won't be there next week. You're going to have to make those hard decisions. And it comes down to decisions. Again, what I talked about, number 2, is decisions. When you have a business, I'll tell you some things that can happen. You want to do all these great things for a new employee, especially if you got a new business, for a new client. You're going to give them all this free stuff and everything else. There is no loyalty in business. I'm going to tell you that. Straight up. There is none. My wife gets at me all the time, and it took me years to figure that out. Why are you doing all that extra stuff for them? Oh, because, if I do good for them, they're going to keep client and everything else. And one of our larger clients, what happened, they got bought out, and they gave us our walking papers as soon as they got bought out. We didn't do anything wrong. They loved us. But the owner, it was a publicly traded company. They got equity firm to take it private. And after they acquired it, they called and said, they no longer need our services. And I did all this free stuff for them. Feeling like a dunce now. So when you start a business, it is a business. What are you in business for? Profit. Okay? Unless you're going to be a nonprofit NGO, and even nonprofits are for profit. That's bull crap. It is for profit. That's bull crap. I sit on several boards. And why, for nonprofits. And what do we look at every year? I'm on finance committees for other ones. We have their P&L. They don't call it P&L. They call it budget. But they have surplus of cash in the bank. And they keep building up that surplus. Think of like Harvard in their diary. Think of all these colleges. A lot of them have nonprofit designations. But how the hell you got $1 billion sitting there and it keeps growing? Then you know what they do with that money? They invest it. So I'm telling you, it's all about the dollar bill, y'all. Okay? And when you get into business, understand, I don't care if you're a tech startup, I don't care what you are, okay? It's all about the bottom line. How are you going to make a profit? I can't employ people without money. I can't pay my bills without money. It's all about profit. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a couple books that really meant a lot to me, to help me. And so Jeff Jonas, I don't know if you guys know who he is. Please look him up. He is the godfather of big data. He's actually a Vegas local, and he's the one who developed facial recognition. So he was a mentor of mine. I'll never forget it. He still is a mentor. I'll never forget, I did a pitch to him in my class because I took an entrepreneur class at Claremont Grad, and we had a pitch to him. And I said, I would love to spend time with you. He said, great. Before you call me, read this book, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Focus on creating truly innovative businesses that go from nothing to something unique, benefit, helps entrepreneurs, and yada, yada, yada. Do anybody know who Peter Thiel is? He is the godfather of the PayPal Mafia. He is the big cheese. And guess who came out of the PayPal Mafia? Elon, Reed, all of them. So Jeff Jones is a good friend with Peter Thiel. And no, he's a great guy. And like I said, here he developed facial recognition. He was an IBM fellow for several years, and he's doing a lot of good things. Next book. This one is for anybody who's looking to start up a company. Disciplined Entrepreneurship by Bill Olet. This book is amazing. It will take you from an ideal all the way to your MVP, most valuable product, and how to create a pitch deck to pitch to investors. Get this book, all right? Again, Jeff Jonas made me read this book before he sat down to meet me. So he gave me literally 3 days to read 2 books to see how serious I was. And I remember telling my wife, I was so excited, Jeff, you know, and I'm sitting there, you know, I was kind of starstruck. All right, here's another great book, The Lean Startups by Eric Ries. Actually, it just sits in my office, it's on my desk. That's another good book that you definitely want to read. And again, it's in the handouts I gave to you, so take a look at it. All right. Then this one's pretty cool. Ready, Fire, Aim. This book, I love it because it tells you what a business should do from 0 to 1 million, from 1 to 5 to 5 to 10, and so forth. And it's so funny. I thought when I hit a certain revenue, I need to get a salesperson. I didn't realize that companies shouldn't really even consider getting a salesperson. The owner should be that person or whoever started until you hit the 5 million. That's about what you need in revenue. And it's funny because I got some folks in my CEO group, and I realized the guys that have 5 to 10 million in revenue only have 1 or 2 salespeople. I realized that. And what I did, we hired a salesperson, and it was absolute, you know, for a year. And she's a sweetheart, amazing. But the problem was I didn't have time to coach and train her. Because I'm in that, we call it the valley of death in business. When you're around $1 million in revenue, you're still the CEO, but still the operator. And as a result of that, I couldn't take my operation belt off to take time to work with her, to develop her. And she didn't fail because she wasn't good. She failed because I was not a good leader at the time. All right. And with that conclusion, I'll say, here you are. This is what you got combined: ambition, resilience, communication, financial discipline, and that creates a foundation for success. Then I gave you the books. Take a look at that. You have the slide outs. And no, my name's Thomas Slaughter. I'm the CEO of SICG IT Solutions. And we're a managed service provider and a managed security service provider with offices through Southern California. And Rachel was so kind to invite me because I've actually lived here for 7 years. We live over in Esperado area in West Henderson. And this felt funny. I don't know anything about this valley. I know zero. I live here, but I don't play here. So now, you know, we put a satellite office over here in Summerlin. And we're ready to go ahead and step into this market because the technology I know that we provide, the cybersecurity solutions we provide, is definitely second to none. You know, go ahead.
So I have a few questions written down. When it comes to resilience, what's a personal way that you build resilience if you don't naturally have it?
Whoa, no. I need to think about that. But go ahead, second question.
The second question is also, and it can also be resources, like other books that may focus on both resilience and communication. If you don't actually have that communication style, what's advice you would give to someone? to build their communication?
Communication, I would probably tell you to go to a junior college class and take public speaking. And if you're not that, at least find books on public speaking. And what's that? Oh, yes. UNLV, yes, UNLV, yes.
And then also, you know, putting the creative brain on, right?
Yes, creative brain.
And also as a recruiter,
Yeah.
practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
The more that you practice it, the more you practice your elevator pitch, the more that you practice, you know, what are anticipated questions, what are my, you know, canned responses, what can I
Yeah.
take the next
Do you guys have Toastmasters here in the Valley? Okay, find a Toastmaster. What Toastmaster is like public speaking, like organization, and you pitch and you do stuff. So look for Toastmasters. So that's great. Yes.
What I'd like to say in regards to communication, the first thing you should do is just get 10 or 15 people that you know, and you need to ask them about you, how they feel about you.
Shit, don't do that.
Communicate with them. Ask them what are the pros, what are the cons, what can you do better. In that, you will find out how well you communicate. That is the way that I would go, because we can do the Toastmasters, we can do the pros, we can do all the things, but what we need is a mirror of honesty, and you have to have someone to tell you what it is that you are lacking. So when you do that, you'll know personally, oh, I hear you, but I am not listening to the core of what you need. I am engaging with you, but when I hear what's going on, I'm not honing into what's that core problem that they have, because a lot of people come to us to be the problem solver. In business, they're coming to us to be the problem solver. And everything that you suggested, you're solving problems by making connections from one person's product to another person's service. We're always solving a problem. So if we're not able to listen, a lot of people think communication is what do I have to say? No, communication is, am I saying something that's going to help solve your problem or answer your need? So when you assess all the people around you and you ask them, tell me what you think about me, what can I do better? You're getting their communication about you and how you can improve your communication back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first place that I would start regarding communication.
Yeah, and take it from my communication coach. Yeah, no, she's amazing. She worked for the government, for the county in Accenture. I don't know if you know who Accenture is. Massive, consulting firm. They trained her and her department on communication, and she given that to
So
us.
that would be the first place to start regarding communication and understanding the purpose of the communication, and then all of the skill comes along with it. There's more that I can say, but I'll let that go because that's just your starting place. You're gonna say,
I deal with students all the time. They come in as freshmen and they're like scared to death to say anything at all.
Yes.
Start with stuff that you care about.
Ah.
Topics, but also we all love, we're passionate about what we, and we can talk and talk and talk,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily the right, like we need to condense it to what the other person is still engaged.
Correct.
Because I could talk for 6 hours about Minecraft. Yeah, I love Minecraft for the kids, man. Let's do it. But then 90% of the people have absolutely no interest. But if I can actually talk about the things that would draw more people.
Correct.
Sure, there might be little bits of Minecraft, but it's condensed. It's concise to what people will still be engaged with.
And I think a key thing is also know your audience. That's a key portion
so
too.
consider also, one key thing about that is what you're saying is regarding your motive. You have to understand your motive. So I came up with a little acronym for myself, making others think internally about what they have going on versus externally about what you're saying. When you're talking and you're communicating, are you helping them think about how does this apply to me? How can I use this? Wow, that really applies. I can relate. Or are they saying, oh wow, you just did a wonderful job. You built a great business. You're doing all of this. Are they awing you, or are they internally reflecting like, wow, this? So what's the motive of what it is that you're communicating? That's important. And then you just want to be transparent. Transparency is everything, because if you see things failing around you, you can really assess. I'm being as transparent as I need to because people don't understand. I'm not being relatable. Things are failing. Why? It's the communication. It's always going to stand back to that. I do want to speak about the resilience. One of the things that resilience is something that we know, like he explained. This is how we bounce back. This is how we say, wow, things are really hard. I can't get it going. But what do I do? You just get up and you do it again. But how do we do that? You have to understand your why. Why did we build this business? There was no way with his education and his mindset, I couldn't see him, and it cringed see another year go by, another year go by, that he was putting in all this effort, working literally almost 24 hours a day for someone else. Our why wasn't in that, but he was working for someone else. So I'm like that, for you to keep going through the struggles for the level of success for someone else, I didn't understand it. But that's just his driving factor. But when he did it for us, when he's doing it for our own business, now I'm like,
Go work.
let's go. That resiliency is there because you got to get up and do it again. Our why is bigger. So no matter what business you have or
It's your why,
what your
yeah.
passion is, understand the why, because you'll get up every day, you'll be super resilient, and you'll keep the ball rolling because you know what you're doing it for.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah, you know, you have to know your why and what the exit looks like. And I know my why. You know, I want to have an exit strategy, and a lot of my why is driven from my parents. You know, they have, you know, humble means and everything else, and I've been around successful people, and I've seen what they can do for their family, and my why is to have an exit where I can create generational wealth. That is my why.
Is there any other questions?
Yes.
A few minutes left.
I think just to relate to that with my son, for example, is 19, and I'm trying to tell him coaching on communication.
Yes.
And I think instead of being shy, he's more of like, not aggressive, but I say you have to be, you have to be transparent and honest. So
Yes.
when I ask him to do something, he'll go, no.
That's brutally honest.
No, I'll be transparent. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to motivate him to, like, you can't just say no. Business does not work on saying no. You make yourself useful in a way that, you know, you can leverage off each other and work and grow from that.
Love it.
There's a very big telco company in Australia that we're from called Optus. And their logo, their phrase on the business is yes, saying yes. So it sort of motivates and makes you think. Well, yeah, it's about making the yes work. Which I thought the marketing worked really well.
Yes.
And I try to pivot that into
Scared to say yes.
Say yes. Say yes to it before you say no, but
I say no to everything.
But I think you struggle from that, you know, where you just be transparent and go, well, I really don't know, but I'll say yes. But I might get myself into trouble. I'll get into somewhere I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, generationally, that's what we have now. So we have a 10-year-old, but when he was 5, and during COVID for kindergarten, the teacher, he's in my home office working at his little desk, and I have my desk, and the teacher said, okay, Christopher, do you want to do this problem? And he unmuted, and he said, no, thank you. And then
That was just polite. It's polite.
And it was very direct, he did not want to do,
Yeah.
which is what we are trying to teach that, but we didn't do something right in that because it should.
No, he was honest. He was a little honest. He was honest.
So I think culturally and generationally with our little generation of children now, there's a different world and environment, and that I'm in the same process of teaching him, okay, when someone asks you to do something, there is the level of, he needs more communication, understanding to why someone's asking you to do something, what are they trying to get out of you, what, you know, there's a breakdown, so.
I've just had trouble, like, you know, take care of the cat. And it's like, I am taking care of the cat. And suddenly you find the fridge, and it hasn't been in the fridge in a few days. And I'm like, how long have you been taking care of the cat?
So it's funny because you have to understand, even in business, if you're doing a startup or you're an entrepreneur, it's just you. But when you really hustle hard and you do what you're supposed to do, and I'm not saying, you know, abandon all shifts and just focus on your own thing, but it doesn't come to one thing. You are working to build something, and before you know it, you're going to need help. Businesses fail because they don't go get help, FYI. Get the help and realize, oh, this is going to cost me more money that I don't have, but as soon as you get that next resource, that person, then you're able to get the additional money. But then what happens is, hire the younger generation who don't know how to be ambitious, and don't know how to make decisions.
That's my business card.
They're not even resilient.
Did you get one, Chris?
I did.
Oh, fine. Okay, fantastic.
Yes, there's that younger generation of, and I'm constantly telling them that okay, we do have to be a little more sensitive, and we do have to understand how to communicate to get the best out of them, because they're not like
Sorry, ladies first.
our parent generation or our generation, you know, this is a different generation.
Yes, please reach out to me.
So,
Yes, seriously. Yeah, reach out. Yes. Yes, yeah.
what if you are the one who's ambitious?
Oh, yeah, I get one there.
It's those,
The competition.
what if I'm the ambitious one and those ones are not trying to be ambitious?
Right. So that was my husband, and everything he did, he was more ambitious than the job allowed. I was the same way. I worked for the government, so I can't be that ambitious. That's what I'm boss.
Ain't that the truth? Dozed.
So everything that I thought of, and every idea that I had, it
Yes,
took
sir.
15 years to accept the idea that I had by hiring a cincher to someone I told me 10 years ago. But it came from something bigger because they had got to the point where it was sanctions from the government, all these other things. It's like, well, I had the vision for that, but I didn't belong there. Same thing with him. All of the companies that he worked for, he was overambitious, more than what the company needed, or more. One of the companies he worked for was a major tire company, and until they brought in a vice president
Yes.
who had the same thinking level, but by then it was too late. He was exhausted, and he was on his way out. But the vice president, they were like, finally, synergy, let's do something, but his time was up, and he was ready to go do something else. And the end result is building something for yourself. So if you're in the place of working and working and working, but you're learning, you're educating yourself. Like he said, we've spent thousands of dollars on great education to fall into, I learned nothing. One thing that he got out of all of his doings from school, the top college business school that he didn't think he could get into, Drucker, and all of these things, it was the longevity of being consistent doing what he was doing, to learn everything that he could, to now that he's got the business that he has. And one thing I tell him, you have to know your unique positioning statement. How do you fit in your industry? The one thing about him that I always tell him is he's different from other IT companies. IT companies are business to business, but he's CEO to CEO, because that is truly who he is. It's the mindset. So to tell, oh, let me show you how to start a tech business. No, I can teach you how to be a CEO. That's who he was, and he wouldn't have worked to stay. So take your time, be ambitious, learn what you need to learn, know the ins, know the outs, know everything, because when that moment comes for you to be that business person, you're going to be so well-rounded and nothing can stop you. So it's frustrating and limited. Just have the mindset of
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I love that. I'm also going to jump in and say, find a mentor. Even established businesses.
Yes.
Right? We have
A mentor.
We always encourage what is your board of advisors look like. Right? You can't know everything, and you can't always be objective. So whether you are just starting out, find somebody that that can help take you to that next stage, whether it's through collaboration or through opening doors and other channels, or in his case with his CEO group. I mean,
Yes.
they're accountability partners, right? And that make sure that you're sticking to what your core business model is, and making sure that you're always always in line with that. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? This is great. We can talk shop all day. I like the input. I like the synergy. Yes.
So on ambition again, what about ones, if you have one of those mornings that you just want to just not face the world, there's just too much pounding on the door, and you're like, you know what, I don't have the ambition today, and you just want to curl up and turn over. Have you ever had any of those?
I have them all the time.
It was yesterday.
I was yes.
On a personal note, I'm kind of getting a bit more of
Yes.
those mornings, more than I want to admit.
Look-
So, do you have any kind of advice as far as, like, I don't know if I want to say coping mechanisms, or how do you face it like that?
Well, let me ask you a question. On your calendar, do you have a set aside per day just take care of yourself?
I do.
Okay, fair enough. All right, and what are some of those things that you do to take care of yourself?
Well, funny enough, the things that take care of me are actually me taking care of other things, actually. To be honest.
Then that's not taking care of yourself. You know, one of the
But I feel good once it's done, though. So.
You do feel good, but
Yeah.
you have to learn to disconnect and reset.
Yeah.
Now, I can say go take a Hollywood case is, but you have to. We're actually funny. I was actually in Palm Springs yesterday. I was on the phone talking to her, and we're talking about. I find peace in having lunch by myself, and just to process my thoughts and give myself free space. And it's funny. I haven't done that in a long time because I've been having lunch at my desk. I've been having lunch meetings. I typically have lunch meetings. But you have to give yourself space and time to process. And even if that's sometimes you have to disconnect for a couple of days. And some of the best CEOs I know, they will actually, no phones, nothing. They'll go to a cabin and just completely disconnect. Because she always tells me, it's going to be there. And I used to always be scared. No, I have to take care of it. Oh, they're going to get mad. They're going to let me go. Blah, 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 blah. No, clients are going to fire me if I don't take care of all this. And one day I surveyed my clients, because many of them are on my CEO group, and said, how would you guys feel if you couldn't get a hold of me for a couple of days? They were like, that'd be a good thing, Thomas, because you're a stress case. And that's what I learned. It's okay to say, hey, could you wait a few more days? I'm going to get back to you. It's okay to tell your significant other, I need space. I need to process. It's okay to tell your children, Dad needs a little bit of space. Okay? And that's what you have to do. Self-care. That's how you reset.
And I think I was going to say, I think some of that is also being realistic, right? Because we don't all operate the same way. And I know for myself in how I juggle things, I do things based on priority management, not time management, but priority management. So that's how I schedule my days. And I know when I'm working on a specific project, I can't do 100% productivity. I'm just not 100% productive, right? And I know that, I know if it's the creative side of my brain, I can only, or if I'm coding, whatever, I can only do so much, and so I have to build that time in for myself. So I think first it's kind of really taking the hard, deep look and figuring out how do I operate? When am I the most productive? And then do your scheduling and build that into your schedule.
And we've done that where I've had him assess time management because there's times of the days like I'm not going to get it done, and we had to figure out when his prime time is so that way he can put things in order. But when we speak of ambition, whenever he gets to the point where he's like, I should love this and I don't love it, it's because it's a transition moment. At least that's what I found for him. And that's why the getting away, having lunch by himself, those moments to think, because now he's at a place where he's accomplished something. Because the fact that you said, well, I do stuff, but I feel accomplished, or it makes me feel good that I got those things done. Okay, well, I can see how your mind works, and that's a lot how he works. He's getting like that dopamine kick because I completed some things. But the day-to-day of what used to satisfy you is not satisfying you, so now it's time to pivot. What are you doing that you need to take it up the next level? Because it's that I don't know what I'm doing and the fear of the unknown that drives me, that keeps me waking up, that says I'm going to figure this out and do the next thing, is lacking. He gets to a comfort zone, or he gets to where I know this like the back of my hand, it's not exciting anymore.
The self-starting is an issue.
Yeah, so that is, and I mean, the nagging voice in his head, so I was going to say, do it, you know, and he has that, unfortunately. But
I need to get married, I need a wife.
the mentor, you need the mentor, you need the accountability part. No, it's the mentor.
You can buy it anytime and it's free.
Exactly.
But yeah, on that note, I always say date myself. It's so funny. She's like, what are you doing? Having dinner. I'm at the hotel. I laid up in the hotel for 3 days by myself. I'm at the pool, hanging out. What are you doing? Took myself to the movies. So I date myself.
Okay.
You know, but I will say also, I know that if there are particular projects where I just need to break them down, because if I look at it as a whole, it's overwhelming. And when you're overwhelmed, you automatically say, I can't do this, I'm going to shut down, I need to take a break. So break it down into pieces. I know certain projects I work on, I only need 2 hours of sleep a night because I'm so excited about cranking that out. And others, I'm just like staring at the screen thinking, I don't want to do this. So, right, so kind of, again, just kind of be realistic, break things down. And I like to find my most, the projects that make me most productive, that make me feel most inspired and most motivated. So if I break it down into pieces, then I feel like, wow, I just accomplished that. Then I feel really good. I can move on to the next thing. That's not how it's going to
Good question.
Yeah.
Now me thinking.
Yeah.
What am I doing this?
I also recommend sunshine
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and exercise.
Yes, sir.
The other thing along those lines is take almost watch what people do who have been through severe trauma, right?
Oh, okay.
They completely I have a friend whose girls were taken from her by a corrupt system.
Yes.
And she focused on rocks, and she collects rocks, and she's doing it. but I know she's doing it because all that other stress for those 5-10 minutes while she's doing rocks, because that's what you're thinking about. Oh, I got this project, I got this project. You're still thinking about your stuff.
Mindfulness,
So find something, it's not necessarily rocks, but find something that takes your mind completely off of what you're doing and focus on it so you can't think about anything else but what you're doing for that minute, and subconsciously your mind will reset to go attack what you want to do better.
Now, you guys want to do an exercise real quick and call it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I took a mindfulness class and they tell us to do this, okay? So go ahead, put your feet on the ground. All right, everybody. All right. Close your eyes and listen to yourself breathe and tell me what you're thinking. Now, what does it feel at the bottom of your feet? How does the ground feel? What do you hear right now? Can you hear the air blowing? Can you hear my feet go across the ground? Now, how does your stomach feel? Do you feel hungry? Do you feel full? Do you feel at peace? Now, I want you to just sit there and I'm going to count from 10 to 1 backwards and open your eyes and tell me how you feel. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. Did your mind quiet? Anybody? Tell me, you can be honest, you're foolish. So I learned that I took 2 mindful classes. I was part of the MBA program, and I took 2 of them. And we would do exercises like this. And look it up, mindfulness. It's being in the present and the now. And it takes your mind off of thinking the future and the past. And the more you can learn to be in the now, the less anxiety you'll have. I was talking to her about it when I was driving back from Palm Springs yesterday. It's crazy, heat, and scary road. But, you know, it was interesting. Our final, we all met at the Disney theater, that big old fancy in downtown LA. Then our final was to go into the markets in downtown LA. If you've ever been there, it's crazy. And we had to learn to silence our mind and to find one thing in the market to focus on. And that was our final. That's it. So that's all I got.
Okay.